So by the top left hand corner, you can see various tabs we have. First of all, you see we have the file tab, which allows you to be able to perform file manipulations such as opening of files, closing of files, saving of files. Then we also have the home tab. The home tab, you can also access some common operations on Power BI. We have the insert tab, where you can be able to use to insert items or objects into your reports. We have the modeling tab, which allows you to perform data modeling, which I'll explain later on. We have the view tab, allows you to customize the view of your Power BI. And we also have the help tab for tutorials and also documentation on Power BI. When you look at your left hand corner, you can see some icons. So these icons are like allows you to access the different modes on your Power BI. First of all is the report. When you're on the report mode, you're able to create visuals. That is on your canvas. We call this the canvas. And you can also apply filters on the filter pane. You can also select your visualization type and customize your visuals on the visualization pane. We also have the feed tabs, which shows all the tables which you have currently, all the tables you are working with in your data model. So you can see the various tables we have. We have geography, manufacturer, products, and sales. And under each particular table, you are able to access all the columns which you have, which we are going to be working with under that particular table. So this is for the reports mode. You can also go to the data mode, allows you to have a clearer view of your data. So unlike the Power Query, which just shows your top 1000, once you have already loaded all your queries into Power BI, you are able to view all your data. You can see that for geography, we're having 69,272 rows. We can see for manufacturer, we are having 14 rows. For products, we are having 2,412 rows. And we can see for sales, we are having 3 million plus rows. This is because we even filtered that of the sales. It's actually more than that. We filtered the date for the past 4 years. So you're able to view all your data inside the Power BI now. All the data I'm working with, this is where you can be able to access it inside your data. By clicking on this data icon, you're able to enter your data mode. And there's some particular modes that which you enter. You can see that when you enter data mode, you can see we have table tools. So this is a new tab which is specific to the data mode. Then after that, we also have what you call the data modeling. So this is one of the most crucial and important parts of Power BI. Data modeling allows you to be able to customize the relationship between tables. Some information are in a particular table, so you can be able to access information in that table through a key in another table. So this is where you build the relationships between this table. You create relationship between these particular tables. A typical example now, as you're looking at it now, you can see that we are having our 4 tables now: manufacturer, products, and sales. So these sales now, we call this our data table. So this is like the main table which we are actually interested in. So I'm going to put it at the center. So this is like our main table which we are analyzing. But you can see that this sales contains sales transactions which was made in that particular in those organizations, in various organizations. So now, what if I want to find out the product name of a particular product and who manufactured that particular product? You can see that this information, we don't have it on the sales, because the information we're having on the sales alone is just country, date, product ID, revenue, units, and zip. So for us to be able to access that information, we need to go to the products table. This is where we can now get the product's name. Then to now get the manufacturer details, we now need to go to the manufacturer table. So same thing also, if you want to know the location details of a particular product transaction, you can also link the geography to the sales. But currently now you can see we have relationship between these 3 tables, and this relationship, we usually call it a one-to-many relationship. You can see it a 1 and an asterisk, which means that we have each particular product as an ID. So in this place we have product ID. So it is this ID allows you to be able to know the transactions that was made, that allows you to link this sales to this particular product. So here now we can have more than one ID, because a product can be bought by more than one person. But if you want to get information about that specific product, you now link it to the product table, where you can now use your product ID to get information about it. So when you click on it now, you can now see what they are joined out. They are joined by product ID in both tables. You can see it here too. Also, when you click on this particular relationship or link, you can see manufacturer ID is in here and manufacturer ID is also in here. So this is a one-to-many relationship. So this manufacturer ID is a one-to-many relationship. So you can be able to get manufacturer details of a particular product by using this particular relationship. So currently now we have no relationship between geography and sales, and you're going to see a reason why we need to create a relationship between geography and sales. So let me go to the report tab now. For example, if I go to the report tab now, I want to plot a particular graph. So I want to plot a graph now in the report tab. So let me click a clustered column chart. So this is a cluster column chart now, and I want to view the various sales of these various sales in various countries. So I'm going to bring in you can see my revenue. So under my visualizations, you can now see where I can customize this chart. where I can give the value of my x-axis, my y-axis, and also my legend, and also other customization which I can also do. So I'm going to bring now my country. I'm going to bring my country that's under geography now to the x-axis, which is my categories. You know, a bar chart allows you to plot a categorical variables against a numerical variable. Then next, I'm going to bring in my sum of total revenue on my y-axis. You can now see what I'm having now. You can see that this is a false information. It is telling me that all the values you can see for all countries is what the same. You can see for Australia, Canada, up to what USA are all equal. And this is actually false. So the reason why we're having this is because we don't have relationship between geography and sales. So we cannot use the information of geography to obtain information from sales. So we cannot view countries, we cannot view the revenue of each particular country because no relationship is existing between the geography and the sales. So we need to look for something unique which you can use in creating a relationship. So we know that the zip code can allow, we know that once we have the knowledge of the zip code, we can be able to use it to link it to the word sales. So let's try that and see. Now I'm going to link the zip to this particular zip in sales. So I'm going to drag this value here from zip and I'll drag it to this place. But you can see it is giving me a warning that this relationship has a cardinality many to many, which means that what we cannot have a one-to-many relationship using the word zip code. The reason why is that a country, two locations in different various countries can have the same zip code. So that is why under this geography, this zip code is not actually unique. So you can have, for example, a zip code in USA and a zip code in Australia. They can be various locations, but they can be the same zip code. So this is why we need to also create a particular type of unique variable which we want to differentiate these two zip code. So what we can do now is to combine the zip code and the country. So even though we're having, for example, a zip code of 761 in USA and we have 761 Mexico. So though the zip code are the same, but once we join the zip code and the country together, we can be able to differentiate it. Instead of having a column of zip code where we have 761 in USA and 761 in Mexico, hence making the zip code column not to be unique. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go to our data and we're going to create a calculated table. So a calculated table is actually a table that is created using a DAX formula. So this is the way of writing formulas or expressions in Power BI. We call it DAX, data analysis expression. So once I click on my table geography, I'm going to click on new column. You can see the option new column. This will allow me to be able to create a new column inside my geography table. So I'm going to call this zip country because I'm combining zip code and country now together, so I'll be able to differentiate countries with similar zip code. So I'm going to say zip country is equals to, then I will now say, because I want to concatenate two columns together now, I'm going to be saying geography. I'm going to be saying geography zip. Then I will now use the ampersand sign, and then I will now put comma. Then I'll now say and geography country. So and geography what country. Can you see it now? It's called I've already a column called zip what country. So then I'm now going to enter. So you can now see now that I've already concatenated the zip column and also the country column. We also need to do the same thing now for the sales because we are going to be linking the two of them together. So we need to have those columns in both tables. So I'm going to also do the same thing under my sales and call it new column. I'll create a new column and I'm going to call it zip country. So zip country is going to be equals to sales zip. So just what we did in the geography table also, and then and sales country. So this is it. Then I'm going to go to end and going to click on enter. So you can now see now we have zip country also under sales. Now let me go to my modeling and I can now link these two together. So I can link, if I scroll up, I can see my zip country. You can see a sign here, which you can see a particular sign here. This sign means that anybody that sees this sign knows that this particular column was a calculated column. So this column is not from the main data source, or it was not created inside your Power Query. It was actually calculated. So this is what this particular sign means. So let me go back now to the relationship, and I can now drag zip country to this particular one here. So let me drag zip country now to this particular sales to create a relationship. So you can now see a one-to-many relationship has already been created. So when I go back to that particular graph I was plotting, you can now see I have a more accurate representation. So you can see that in terms of revenue, USA is having, in terms of total revenue, USA is having the highest, followed by Australia, Japan, Nigeria, Germany, Mexico, and Canada. So you can now see that we are able to now have an accurate visual representation because I've already created a relationship between these two tables. So that is why creating a relationship, model relationship in Power BI is very, very important, because if you get it wrong from this place, you are likely to get your visuals wrong and also your reports wrong. So you need to create accurate relationship and link these tables accurately. You can see automatically already created relationship between manufacturer, sales, and product. So there are sometimes where you also be the one to manually create other relationship. So under your model view, you can see that, or your model mode, you can see we also have properties here. Here you can edit the properties of various tables. So you can edit it. Once I click on a particular table, you can see the properties here. I can even give it a description if I want to give synonyms, and also give the row a particular label. So we can also see we also have the fields table, this particular fields pane. This is also the same fields pane which you see under the report and the data view. So you can also be able to select your tables from here, select your columns from here, and also perform some customization, maybe on the name or description of a particular column or a particular table. Now we are able to see the revenues of various countries. And you can see that of USA. We already know that USA is having the highest revenue. So apart from that, I saw other information which you can also view from this particular graph which we have now. We can since already have the tables now connected to each other, already have relationship between various tables. Now let us now see our organizations, how they perform. So now I can go to manufacturer table and now select my manufacturer and bring it to the legend. So the legend is going to group these bars now for me inside this particular visual. So I'm going to bring the manufacturer now to the legend. By bringing the manufacturer now to the legend, you can now see that I'm having various groups inside my visual. So I can see that of the green color resembles my organization, which is Vanarsdel. I can also see for other colors resembling that is matching with other organizations which is listed above. So you can see this is what we just built now. The one of the visual is called a clustered column chart. So one of the disadvantages of a cluster column chart is that when you have a lot of groups, it becomes very difficult to understand the graph or to make meaning from the graph. So I'm going to now change it now to a stacked column chart. So you can now see how a stacked column chart looks like. So a stacked column chart now, we are able to now see that, okay, for USA now, Vanarsdel, that is my organization, is having the highest revenue. You can now see for that of the golden color also. We can also see for our competitors, because if you know one thing from our problem statement, we're interested in seeing how we are competing with our competitors. So now our top competitors, now you can see them for USA is this blue, which is Aliqui, then this particular orange color, which is Kuros, the purple, which is Natura, the golden, which is Pirum, and we have the green is actually our own organization. If you also check across other countries too, it's also the same thing. So these are like our top major competitors, and these are the people that we're actually interested in. So other ones are minor competitors and are not like a threat to our business. So now let me go to my manufacturer. Now I'm going to create a group now. So a group is allowing me to go to group it to my organization. I want to group this graph into my organization. Then I will now group it also into my top competitors. Then I also group it into my other competitors. So I'm going to right click. Once I now right click, I'm going to click on new group. So new group will allow me to create my grouping. You can see the name manufacturer groups. You can see manufacturer. So I'm now going to start selecting my competitors. So first of all, let me just select my organization. It is Vanarsdel. I'm going to group it. This is going to be a group on its own. Then I will now select, first of all, I'm going to select the purple, which is Aliqui. Then the golden color, which is Pirum. Then the purple, also okay, sorry, the purple, the orange, which is Kuros. Then we have that is the dark blue. This should be, I think it should be, okay, Aliqui, Kuros. Select Kuros. Okay, I've already selected Kuros. Pirum is the golden color. We still have one more to go. Natura, yeah, Natura is the purple. So we select Natura. So we have already selected Aliqui, which is the blue. The orange is Kuros. We have selected it. The purple is you can see the purple is Natura. The golden color is Pirum, and the green is actually our organization. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see it's 4. We are going to group it. So this is a group on its own, and I'm going to double click on it and call it competitors, or let me just say top competitors. So you can see that's a group on its own. Then the other ones, now I'm going to now check this box, include other group. Can you see it? So these other groups, those are the ones that we don't select. I'm going to call them other competitors. So these are going to be other competitors. So can you see it now? And I'm now going to click on OK. So by clicking on OK now, you are going to see I'm going to be having something like another column. This is called a column. They grouped. This is called a grouping. I just grouped one of the columns now. When I go back to my data table now and look at this particular table, manufacturer, you can now see it what manufacturer groups. It's like it created another column for me, but this is a grouping of one of the column inside the table. So I'm going to go back now to my reports and go back to my report. I'm now going to remove this particular manufacturer I put in my legend and now bring in the manufacturer groups. So you can see my manufacturer groups now. So you can see it now. I can now see USA. You can see the what I'm having for USA, Australia. This is under other competitors, which are not what you're actually interested in. We're interested in top competitors. I'm having the highest market share in USA, this particular orange. Then why this dark blue is a combination of all my top competitors, which means I'm even controlling US market. I'm also controlling that organization is also controlling Australian market. So which means just from this graph we're looking at, we are actually performing well and as an organization. So this is one of the way which you can view how our revenue has been in across various countries and also how our competitors' revenue looks like. So let me just minimize this particular visual, and now I'm going to create another visual. This visual is called a tree map. So a tree map now, this is a tree map. You can see it now. It's telling me each particular visual has way of giving its value. So for a tree map now, I'm going to give it in category, details, and value. So the major ones here I'm going to give is category and values. So for category, I'm going to bring in manufacturer. So once I bring manufacturer, what will now be my values? I'm going to go to sales and bring in revenue. But before we go on, some of these columns are also in other tables because we already created relationships. So we might need to hide them. So I'm going to be hiding zip. We're not going to be, since we're not using the zip, I'm hiding. Please take note, I'm not deleting. I'm also going to go to zip country. Since zip country is also under geography already, I'm going to hide it. I don't want to make this place look clumsy. Then I'm also going to hide product ID. We already have it under products. Okay, so you can see it. And also, I'm going to hide dates. Okay, we're going to leave the dates for now. I'm going to leave the dates. So under here also, we are hiding. I think we're going to hide manufacturer ID. Okay, then geography. Okay, let us hide zip for here. So now we can now see our tree map visual. So this is how a tree map visual looks like. So this squares is actually proportional to the size or the value which you give. So the bigger the square, it means the bigger the revenue of that particular organization. So you can see Vanarsdel total revenue, how big it is compared to other organizations. You can see it. You can see it. And by clicking on one organization, you can see it's going to affect this particular place. It's going to be highlighted. So now what I'm going to do now, since I already have a tree map now, which I can use to control this visual, what I'm going to do now, I'm actually going to just go back to this visual and remove my legend. Good. So you can now see this is my total revenue. So if I click on Vanarsdel now, I'm going to be seeing all the total revenue. You can see I'm only seeing the revenue for Vanarsdel. So this is actually called highlighting. You can highlight another visual from another visual. So if I had a visual, you can actually highlight or filter that visual using another visual. So this is what I just did now. For Natura, you can see I'm seeing only for Natura. But when you now go for smaller organizations, you're going to see it very small. So this is one disadvantage of highlighting. So how do I now solve this problem? This is where I'm now going to click on the visual and now go to my formats and go to edit interaction. So under edit interaction, it allows you to be able to edit the interaction between two or more visuals. So now I have three options here now. The first one you are seeing is called filter. The second option is called highlight. Why this other one is none, which means you are not applying any filtering to it. So currently now it is on highlight. That is why anytime I click on this particular value, you can see it here. It is very small and minute. So I want to see it clearly and boldly. So instead of me to put it in highlight, I'm going to fix it on filter. So by putting it on filter now, when I click on these smaller organizations with smaller revenue, I can now see the revenue of this organization. You can now see that the highest revenue for this organization is $5 million in USA. So you can see it now. I can be able to see the values clearly. When I also click on Vanarsdel, you can see Vanarsdel revenue all in all countries. So what I just did now, I'm performing a filtering between various visuals is what I'm just doing now. I can also filter also too by clicking on USA. I'm only going to be seeing the details of what's USA in this particular tree map. But I can also see that I also need to customize the edit interaction for this particular visual also. So I'm going to click on it. You can also see its own edit interaction too as opened for the other visual. So which means anytime you click on a visual, the edit interaction will open for other visuals, so that you can be able to set the interaction. Do you want it to be highlight, filter, or you want it to be at none? So now I'm going to also click on filter for it. So anytime I click on a particular country, it's going to show me the squares of that particular country. So if I click on, for example, Canada, anything I see now is going to be for Canada. So this is how the tree map visual works. So now I already see how the tree map visual works. So now let me go to my formats and off the edit interactions. Since we're actually interested in our organization and also the top competitors, so which means we're not necessarily needing most of these smaller organizations with, or these organizations with what smaller revenues, because we don't see them as threats. So what we want to do now is actually to apply a filter which is going to filter all these organizations for us, so that anybody that's viewing our report will only be viewing top competitors with our own organizations too also. So we have, you can see a filter pane here. We have 3 ways of filtering. You can either add filter to a visual by clicking on a visual. I can apply a filter now, or add filter to a page, or add it to all the pages. So what I want to do now to add filter to on this page. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to drag this particular manufacturer groups. So here is it. I'm going to drag it to the filter on this page. Can you see it now? I've already dragged it to the filter on this page now. So this is where I can now select what and what anybody that's viewing this report can see. Do I want everybody that's viewing this report to view all? That is all the groups? Yes, I can tick on this select all. Or I only want the person viewing this report to view top competitors and Vanarsdel. So that means I'm going to uncheck other competitors. Can you see by doing that now? It's only showing me my top competitors and it is showing me Vanarsdel. So that means I've already filtered. I've applied a filter on this page. So any information I see now, even the total revenue, you can see it has already reduced. So you can see it. So you can see by other competitors also. You can see that the total revenue, you can see it has already reduced. So now I'm only applying a filter now to show me top competitors and only Vanarsdel. So this I can apply a filter. The same thing I did here, I can also do it on a visual. You can also apply it on all the pages. So it's just the same procedure. So now I can now convert this tree map. Now I'm going to convert it to a slicer. So slicer allows your user to be able to filter from the report, to filter information in the report. So you can actually apply filter when you're creating a report, but if you want your user to be able to play with the report and use the report, or be able to have easy access with the report, then you can provide a slicer for that particular user. So I'm going to convert this particular visual to a slicer. So now by converting it down to a slicer, I can now see now, I can now check on any of these organizations which I want to view. I want to view Aliqui, I want to view Kurus, I want to view Natura, or I want to view Pirom, or I want to view Vanarsdel. So any of them I want to view, you can now see that. And also because of the edit interaction which I've already done earlier on, it also makes it easier for me. So you can see now I'm able to view these particular visuals on this particular graph. And also what I also want to note, you can see that now currently now we have USA, Australia. All these are just the countries now. I can create a hierarchy now, because in a country, in some countries we have regions. Other regions we have city, then this, or sometimes it's also states. Okay, in some countries we have region, then we can have states, we have district, or we have city before district. So what I just want to do now, I'm just going to carry some of these values. I can just carry after country, I can just carry region, I can now carry states, I can just carry states, I can just carry, because you can just leave it like this. So you can see now some buttons have already appeared now. So we have a drill up. So drill up allows you to go to the level above the next level above the hierarchy. So you can now see, I can now go to my countries. You can see my country now. So why it is like this now is because it's not sorted. So I'm going to click on this 3 and click sort axis. So you go to sort by sum of revenue. So now I'm also going to put it to sort descending. So this was the way it was earlier on. So now, so this is these are called drilling modes. So this one allows me to what, click to do what, on my drill mode down. So when I click on this now, I've already turned on drill mode. So when I click on USA, I'm able to view all the regions under USA. When I click on a particular region, I'm able to view all the states under that particular region. So this is one advantage of what drill mode. If I want to go back up, I click on the drill up. You can see I go back up the hierarchy. If I want to expand all down one level in the hierarchy, I click on this particular icon here. You can see it, I expand down one level in all the hierarchy. So these are just the drilling mode, allows you to be able to allows your user to be able to what, drill through visuals. So I'm going to turn it off now. So when I click on my slicer now, I can go to customize, format your visual to actually customize this visual. So when you click on this drop down now, we have three types of slicer. We can actually have drop down, which is what you are viewing now. When you click on this drop down, you can see all your you can see all these particular organizations under the slicer. I can also select vertical lists. You can see all of them, or I can select style. So in tile format, you can see the way it's going to be given as it's going to be given in a tile format. So these are the various type of slicer formats which you can be having. So now for now, I'm just going to leave it as the tiles. So now already gotten our sum of revenue by country. Also have our slicer. So let us leave it selected on Vanarsdel. See, Vanarsdel is what we are actually interested in. So next thing, I want to see the sum of revenue. That's for the past 4 years or 3 years. We want to see how the revenue has actually been looking like in our organization Vanarsdel. So what we are going to do now, we already have our dates column, but most of the time it's a good practice when you are working with dates, you actually have a separate table for dates, because sometimes the date might varies from table to, you might have dates columns in various tables. So if you have something like a calendar which you can now relate to the date, it makes it much more easier. So I'm going to create a date table now. This is called a calculated table. I'm going to click on new table and use my DAX expression to create it. So I'm going to call this table calendar, or I'm just going to call it dates. Let me just call it date. Is going to be equals to, I'm now going to use the calendar function. So the calendar function tells me to what, give my start date. So my start date now is going to be date. I'm going to give my year. I can say 2014, comma, which month? That is January 1st, day January 1st, to which was what is my end date. I can just say 2023. I can just say 2023 December 31st. You can see, then close it, then I just enter. So you can now see, now I have a date table. So this is called a date table. So that's not all. I go to my relationship, that is my model view, my model mode, and my date. I have to create a relationship. So I actually have a date under my sales. So you can see my sales here. I have a date. So let me just zoom it a little bit. So you can see it now. So I'm going to bring this date here now. I'm going to drag it. I'm going to drag my date to this particular date here. You can see it has already created a one-to-many relationship, because the date here is unique. So it's created a one-to-many relationship, and that's all. We're already done. So since we already have that particular date now, I'm just going to hide the one under my sales. So I'm going to hide it. And now we are going to be using the date under this particular date table. And once you have a date column, it automatically creates a hierarchy for you. You can see year, quarter, month, and day. This makes your life easier. You don't need to be creating any hierarchies yourself. Just like similar to what we just did for that of the country, region, state. So that's what we just did earlier on now. So now let me create a visual now. I'm going to be creating a stacked column chart. So under my stacked column chart now, under my x-axis now, I actually want my date hierarchy. Under my x-axis, then now I'm going to bring in my sum of revenue, because I want to be seeing the sum of revenue for the various years. So I'm going to go to my y-axis. I'll bring my revenue. So and you can now see we also have those special icons now. So I'm going to be drilling up till I reach here. So you can now see we have 3 years: 2021, 2020, and 2019. So those are the 3 years we see. You can now see that Vanarsdel is actually having the highest revenue in 2021, followed by 2020, followed by 2019. So revenue has actually been increasing over the years. So we have 2019, 2020, and 2021. It's actually been increasing. So what if I now want to view for the month under a particular year? I have to now click on this particular drill down. So once I click on this drill down, I can now click on any of the years I want to view. When I click on 2021, and view all the quarters under 2021, I can see that in 2021 the second quarter have the highest revenue. I can now click on the second quarter to now view the months under there. I can now see that means the highest revenue throughout that year was actually in you can actually see that the highest revenue was in what is in June. So April, May and June is actually having the highest revenue. I can also go up and view other quarters and see. I can see that of September. You can see that of September. I can also view for quarter 4. You can see that of what October. So what if I now to actually see for all the months under this particular year? I can just click on this. You can now see that what I'm able to view all the months under that particular what year. You can see it now. So you can see it for that of September, October. You can see it for also that of what June. So this is for under that particular year I just selected now, which is what 2021. So now let me turn off the drill mode. So let me click on 2021 now to see what happened to my other visuals. You can now see that this one is also affected by what highlighting, and I also need to turn that off. So I'm going to go to my format and click on edit interaction, and for this one now I'm going to be clicking on this and set the edit interaction to filter. Can you see it now? Then I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to bring it back. So now I'm going to go to my format and off my edit interaction. Anytime I click on a year, you can see it. You can now see that what I'm able to get all the revenue for that particular year. I can also click on Australia. I see I'm also going to get what the revenue for each year under what Australia. I also need to set these edit interactions for it. I'm going to go. You can see now currently now I'm going to drag it to see it clearly. So I'm going to click on this and set it back to filter. So we have just 3 ways of highlighting. Either by highlight, we have 3 ways of having visual interactions, either by highlighting or by filter. So I'm going to off this and go to home. So now if I click on Australia, I can see the revenue for Australia. If I click on Canada now, I can see the revenue of Canada. So you can see of Canada, you can see that of Canada, that of Mexico, that of Nigeria. You can see for Nigeria, 2020 is the one with the highest revenue. You can see for Germany, 2021 is also the highest. For Japan, you can see it. So this is how we can view, this is how we can interact with most of our visuals. The next thing now I want to know is I want to know our products with the highest revenue. So first of all, what we're going to do now, I'm going to create a matrix. I'm going to click on my blank canvas, then create a matrix. So now this matrix now, it allows you to be able to give rows, columns and values. So I'm going to be giving my rows. So under my rows now, I'm going to actually be giving product category. You can see product category. Then under product category now, then we now have what values. So under values, I'm going to bring in my total revenue to my values. So you can now see the total revenue under each particular product category. So you can now see the total revenue under each particular product category. For rural, we're having 5 million plus. For urban, we're having 608 million plus, which means more people are interested in urban items. So what if I now click on Australia and click on 2021? So you can see on Australia under the year 2021, urban category has the highest total number of revenue, followed by the what rural category. So now I also want to know the product that has the highest profit, because now this is just the total revenue which we know. So I want to now have category, and I have my product name, and I also have my product segment. So now I'm going to be creating a hierarchy. Now we know that category comes first, then segment, then the product name. So I'm going to right click on category and click on create hierarchy. So create hierarchy allows me to be able to create my own hierarchy, just like what we see in the dates table, which was automatically created for us. Now I've already created the hierarchy. I'm now going to right click on segment and add to hierarchy, category hierarchy, and also right click on I'm going to now right click on product and add to hierarchy. Can you now see it now what we are having? So now I'm now going to remove this category I have here and bring in my category hierarchy. So I can be able to now view, I can use my drill mode on to be able to now view under each particular category. I can view the segments and see what is the total revenue under each segment. So now let me click on urban. You can see urban, we have 4 segments under urban, and can also the product names too under urban. So now let's now calculate the percentage total revenue. So I'm going to calculate the percentage total revenue now. So what I will just do this is just to drag the total revenue also to the values field and click on this particular drop down. Then I now go to see show value as percentage of grand total. You can now see this is percentage of our grand total. So this is what we have, the percentage of grand total. So you can now see that, okay, this is the rural is having 2.72%, while urban is having 97.28%. So the next thing now we want to calculate now is called revenue growth. So what do you actually define as revenue growth? So imagine you have a revenue on the year 2020. So let me just clear this. You have your revenue in the year 2020 now, and you have your revenue in the year 2021. You now want to know how your revenue has already grown. So your revenue growth is actually what? The previous year subtracted from the current year divided by the what? Previous year. I don't know if that is clear. I'm going to come again. So when you have a revenue of 2020, let's say you made $1 million in 2020, and under 2021 now we made $1.5 million. So which means our revenue growth is now going to be 1.5 million minus 1 million divided by what? 1 million. So 1.5 million minus 1 million divided by 1 million is going to give us our revenue growth. So how much our revenue has already grown. So now what we are going to now do now, so let me just explain what we are going to do. We need to now get the revenue of our previous year. How do we now do that? So let me show you a particular trick. So I'm going to click on a new page now just to demonstrate this trick. I'm going to create a new matrix. So by creating a new matrix now, I'm going to be bringing my year. So I'm going to be bringing my year. You can see this under my data hierarchy. I'm not bringing the whole data hierarchy. I'm bringing only the year inside my rows field. So you can now see all the years I have. Then I'm now going to bring my total revenue into my values. So because I have total revenue for only 3 years, that is why you can see we're having only 3 years in this particular place. Now I'm going to create a measure that will give me the sum of revenue for the previous year. So which means when I create that measure, any value you see here is going to give me the value of the revenue of past year. Now I'm going to right click on sales and click on new measure. So now I'm going to call this previous year. Previous year sales is what I'm going to call it. So previous year sales is now going to be equals to calculate. I'm going to be using the DAX measure calculate sum of what? Revenue. Sales revenue. So you can see sales revenue. Then close the bracket. Then comma. I'm going to be using the function same period last year. And I'm going to be using the date. So what the same period last year actually does is that it takes a particular date and calculates the what? The value of the previous date. So if you filter for a year, now let's say 2015, any value you put there in this particular place, you are going to be getting the value of the 2014. That is the last year. So same period last year. So this function just what? Returns a set of dates in the current selection from the previous year. So anytime you apply a filter of a particular year, this DAX measure work is just to return the value of the previous year for you. So from the function name same period last year, just expect that the value I'm going to be getting is the value of last year. So if you have 2020 now, you have a revenue of 2020, you're going to be getting the value of 2019. When you have 2021, you're going to be getting the value of 2020. So now I'm going to be giving my date and I'm going to be closing it. So I'm going to enter. So I'm now going to drag this now on into my values field. So you can now see what we are now having now. So you can now see that even 2022 has been included. So under 2019 now, you can see that we have no value because we don't have data for 2018. But under 2020 now, you can now see the value of 2019 year as the previous year sales. Under 2021 now, you can see the value of 2020 as the previous year sales. Under 2022, we don't have the data of current year sales, but we have previous year sales, which is 2021. So this is just how you can calculate the a particular amount for a previous year. So now, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go back to my page 1. You can see I'm going to go back to my page 1 and click on my matrix visual. And I'm going to now drag this particular previous year sales. I'm going to drag it to my values. You can see it. So now we are going to see that, okay, why are they the same now with the sum of revenue and previous year sales? The reason why is because I've now applied a year filter. So let me just click on 2021. So you can now see that under 2021 now, the previous year sales for rural, you can see the value. under 2021 also, you can see the previous year sales, which is 2020, under what? Urban. So you can see what we now have now. So now why we actually calculate this is because we want to calculate our revenue growth. So we are not done yet. We're also going to create another measure. I'm going to right click on sales, click on new measure. So I'm going to call this my percentage growth now. I'm going to say percentage growth. So it's going to be equals to what? It's going to be equals to divide. I'm going to be using the divide function. So what I told you that what I'm going to be dividing now is going to be what? My current year minus previous year divided by what? Previous year. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to say sum of sales revenue. This is some of this. We're going to subtract previous year sales. Then it's going to be divided by what? Previous year sales. Then enter. So this is my percentage revenue growth. I've already created it, and I'm now going to bring it now to my values field. So as you can see, it's showing 0.00 because I've not selected a particular year filter. So let me select it. You can now see what is now showing me. Then I'm now going to click on percentage because this is actually a percentage. That is under my format. I'm going to click on percentage. You have to make sure you click on the measure first. Then after doing that, now I can now see that under urban, let me also apply a country. Let me filter also for Australia. I'm going to hold control on my keyboard and click on it also because I already selected 2021 under sum of revenue by year. So now under urban now, I'm going to click on urban. You can now see that under urban now, we are actually seeing all the products. So let me sort by percentage growth. Sort by percentage growth. Then sort what? Descending. It's already at sort descending. And now we can now see that under what? Urban category, which is actually the highest percentage growth for Australia in the year 2021. Extreme segments have the highest percentage revenue growth at 61.94%. Now, which product now under extreme now has the highest revenue growth? Let's click and see. That is the maximum UE04 with a revenue growth of 157.56%. So you can now see that maximum UE04 has the highest revenue growth of all the products for Australia in the year 2021. You can see how very high it is. So this is how you can use DAX measures to create various measures which you can use to extract information from your data. So I've already extracted sum of revenue by growth. We extracted sum of revenue by year. We also extracted our percentage growth, our previous year sales, grand total sum of revenue. So this is all for the exploratory data analysis. Next, now we are going to be doing now, we are going to now customize a visual so that we will be able to present it to our consumers or the stakeholders which are going to be viewing it, or anybody that wants to just view our dashboard.